All right, so get a load of this. So this is this young guy who pretended to be Jewish, and he asked Charlie Kirk about debating me. I'll play the clip, the relevant part. It's like 20 seconds.
Thank you for coming, Charlie. And I had a quick question about anti-Semitism online. Another question here they asked about Candace Owens, and I'm a big fan of you. I was a big fan of her, but she's obviously been going down this anti-Semitic bent. And through her, I'm kind of finding out about these other characters online, like Nick Fuentes. I'm sure you've heard of him. And these people, they've been active for a long time, and it seems like they've just been ignored, which is working, but now they're kind of surging in popularity. And as someone who I enjoy watching your debates, are they people you'd be willing to engage with and maybe shut them down in a way through a debate or something like that?
Well, I mean, I'm going to debate Candace. But no, look, I'll debate anybody that shows up at our campus events first and foremost. But I do want to...
I love that, by the way. Well, I debate Candace. He says, well, I debate Candace, meaning not Nick Fuentes, but her. And I debate anyone that shows up to my events. You know, I've literally had a dozen cops drag me out of a Turning Point event for attending. I have tried to enter at least a half dozen Turning Point events, and I kid you not, within minutes, not an hour, not a half hour, within minutes of walking through the front door of a Turning Point event, I have had security identify me immediately, attempt to detain me, try to shove me, try to grab me, and I've been kicked out of every single one for 7 years. For literally 7 years. At Politicon, at Turning Point SAS, at America Fest, I mean, you name it. So he says, well, I debate Candace, I debate anyone that shows up to my events. Okay, trick question. You have banned me from your events. You have physically removed me from your events. But let's go on and let's hear some more of his answer.
Take what you say and extrapolate it. That there is a corner of the internet of people that want to point and blame the Jews for all their problems. Everybody, this is demonic and it's from the pit of hell. And it should not be tolerated. Period. But it goes to the problem of an entire generation that has economic resentment. They don't own anything. They're not getting married. They're not having children. They're depressed. They're anxious. They're staring at their screens all day long. And if all of a sudden your extrapolation of all that is, well, it's the Jews' fault, that is sloppy and shallow thinking. And not only that, they say, oh, it's the Jews' fault. Okay, let's kind of play this out. Well, tuberculosis, that used to kill about 1 billion people. You know, it's a group of Jewish scientists that came up with the antibiotic that cured tuberculosis. How about CPR, the MRI machine? You know, there's over 500 million lives that were saved over the last 50 years because of people that were Jewish scientists that were working on things. They'll never say thank you to the Jews, but they'll always say shame on the Jews. It's weird how that works. And finally, they always blame the Jews for stuff. Jewish people are an ethnicity. So therefore, definitionally, you have people that are secular, orthodox, religious, that are all over the spectrum. You're trying to blame an entire ethnicity for a singular problem. Hold on, let's take a step back here. Instead of that, what could you possibly do in your own personal life to improve your own state of being? If you are blaming 0.02% of the world's population for all of your problems, that is not going to be good for your soul. It's not good for your psychology. It's not good for your future in any way, shape, or form. And so I would just say this, that any young person that goes into this hyper online brain rot, you are serving yourself over to your own demise. You are serving yourself into a suicide mission that will not make you happier and not make you healthier. Instead, here's what your attitude should be. Your attitude should be like, I can't own stuff, I got it, can't own a home, I'm not getting married, I don't know who to date. Said, wow, the challenges are immense. I'm going to now overcome all those challenges and go on an adventure. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm now not going to be a victim. I'm going to be a victor. I'm going to dig deep. This is still a great country. This is a free country. I'm going to use my agency. I'm going to use my ability. And I'm not just going to go point in the corner and be like, I'm overweight because of the Jews. Women don't want to date me because of the Jews. How about this? As Jordan Peterson would say, sit up straight with your shoulders back, follow the rules for life, make yourself interesting, learn something new every single day.
Okay, I think we get the point. Well, and you realize that this is the same argument that the left uses, which is if you identify a problem with a group of people, well, you're a bigot. If you say that black people are causing crime, immigrants are taking the jobs, they say, well, you're just blaming a whole group of people for your problems. Oh, the immigrants are why you can't get a job? Oh, the black people are why you can't get ahead in life? Isn't this no different than what Charlie Kirk accuses his own enemies of saying? You identify there's a group of people associated with a particular problem. Oh, well, you're a bigot. You're a hater. You're blaming them for all your problems. And by the way, I love this straw man. This is why he can't confront me, because you can say this when I'm not in the room. You can say this to your audience when you have an audience with a Jewish person, a Zionist, people that believe this propaganda. Nobody has ever said the problem is that I'm fat because of the Jews. I don't think anyone's ever said that. The problem is feminism is because of the Jews. Here's what we're saying very simply. The Jews have influence over our society. This is why we're fighting a war with Iran, for example, right now. Can you name one other reason why we're in Iran? Trump wants to make a deal. Israel does not. Therefore, we're bombing Iran. Therefore, we're giving them weapons to bomb Iran. We're bombing Iran. Was there any other factor at play other than that Mark Levin and Ike Perlmutter met with the president? Was there any other factor at play other than Netanyahu lit the fuse and initiated the conflict? How about the war in Iraq? It was Israeli intelligence that said he had weapons of mass destruction. It was Zionist Jews, neocons inside the Pentagon that created all this intelligence, fabricated it, that years earlier said we needed to topple Saddam Hussein. And the message seems to be something like this. Any criticism of Jews cannot be tolerated because, well, you're just blaming Jews for your problems. Talking about Jewish influence, talking about any influence by the Jews that is negative, is blaming them for everything in totality. And there's a second message, which is interesting. It's sort of like mind your own business. You notice that they're pushing this a lot more now. They're saying, hey, don't talk about Jews. Focus on like housing. Don't worry about the ADL controlling censorship on Twitter. Don't worry about AIPAC controlling Congress. What does it have to do with you? What's it to you that AIPAC controls Congress? What's it to you that the ADL is creating censorship? What's it to you that Jewish billionaires like Miriam Adelson are bribing our politicians? What's it to you that Palantir is in Israel? That doesn't matter to you. You need to shut up and focus on, whatever's going on in your life. Have you noticed that? They really want white people to tap out of politics. They want white people to bury their head in their sand. They're saying, don't go to college. Don't go to college. Just get married, become an electrician, and, just worry about getting a house. Don't worry about what's going on in the Middle East. Don't worry about DC and politics. Don't worry about any of that. You just worry about what's going on in your neck of the woods. You just worry about paying your taxes, getting a credit card, consuming goy slop, and creating more slaves for the New World Order, okay? The New World Order needs more slaves in its army, needs more taxable bodies. You worry about making a family, making more breeding slaves. You just worry about getting another debt payment, working a job. He says, have an adventure. What's the adventure, Charlie? What's the adventure? The adventure is you have a kid, you take on student loans for your kid, you take on a mortgage, you take on credit card debt. That's the adventure. Stay out of politics. Stay out of politics. Don't worry about the Middle East. Don't worry about power. Don't worry about the powerful cities. Are you taking that advice? Because you seem pretty interested in the Middle East. You're defending the Middle East all the time. Are you worried about housing? Okay, why are you defending the famine in Gaza? Are you only worried about your family? Are you worried about domestic and international politics? What about the Jews? What about your buddy Darren Beatty and Mike Benz? Do they have families? Are they in D.C. working in the national security apparatus? What about all these tech guys? What about all these tech moguls? They seem pretty interested in Israel. Peter Thiel, Tucker Carlson, J.D. Vance, they're on all these adventures. They're all promoting Israel. So the message from Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk is like, you can never criticize Jews in Israel. Any criticism of them is bigotry. You're just blaming them for your problems, even if they're legitimately responsible for things that are happening in our country. It's not about I have a girlfriend, I don't have a girlfriend. It's not about I have a house, I don't have a house. It's about what they're doing to our country. And by the way, when you look at these movements, OnlyFans. Who took OnlyFans and turned it from Patreon into a pornography website? Can you take a wild guess? Who took OnlyFans, which was 5 years ago, it was like a subscription website for media. Now it's a porn site. Do you know who made that change? You know who acquired it and turned it into that? The person was Jewish. You know who owns MindGeek, Pornhub? It's a rabbi. You know who won the Supreme Court case that liberalized how the government treats pornography? Larry Flynt, a Jew. So Larry Flynt versus the people of the United States, Pornhub and OnlyFans. And everybody knows, by the way, all the pornography in this country, so much of it, it is a result of Jews. And it was a specifically Jewish phenomenon. They specifically said it's an attack on Jesus. It's an attack on holiness. They're quoted as saying this. And so when Charlie Kirk says something like, oh, you can't get a girlfriend because of the Jews, it's like, yeah, I mean, no one would say, I can't get a woman to be attracted to me because Jews made them. No one would say that. But we would say that pornography on the internet is a huge problem. It's a huge societal problem. And when you look at who's behind it, you're going to find a lot of those names. And how about feminism? How many of the major names behind feminism were Jewish? I mean, the list goes on and on and on like this. But do you notice how they do this little bait and switch? They make you out to be a pathetic person. They say, if you've got a personal problem, you're just blaming that on the Jews. We're talking about our country. Does anyone dispute that something has happened to our civilization? That our civilization was one way. It was traditional. It was Christian. It was European. And now it's another way. Does anybody dispute that? And who was at the bleeding edge of all these different movements? Who was at the bleeding edge of civil rights and the Black Panthers? Who was at the bleeding edge of the entertainment industry and pornography and feminism? In every case. And why? They're not Christian. They don't share our values. Who were the militant atheists? The first ones. Oh, many of them were Jews. Now, you can do with that information whatever you like, but that's a fucking fact. Don't sit there and tell me, oh, well, you're just some pathetic chud. I mean, there's a lot. Dan Bilzerian gets laid. Kanye West gets laid. Kanye West was married to Kim Kardashian and was a billionaire. You're telling me he's blaming the Jews for his problems? The artist formerly known as Kanye West, Ye, this guy's one of the biggest celebrities in the world, biggest recording artist in the history of the world. He makes a few tweets about Jews, and Jews mobilized to take all of his business, his lawyers, his kids. You're telling me that was a loser blaming people because he couldn't get a girl? And what are you? You're some kind of ladies' man? You're some kind of chick magnet? You look like a fucking fart. You look like that guy from the Goonies. You look deformed. You're talking about people can't get girls. You're talking about you were fat till you got on Ozempic. Look at you a few months ago. But anyway, so this is the video. He quote tweets the video. He says, Jew hate has no place in civil society. It rots the brain. Once again, if you feel so confident, then debate me. What's the excuse at this point? Well, I don't want to platform him. My show's bigger than your show. I'm a bigger live streamer than you. What's the argument? We don't want to give him any oxygen. My ideas are mainstream. Half your audience believes my ideas. What's the argument? The only reason that Charlie Kirk will debate every college kid, every leftist, every socialist, but not me, is because he'd lose. It's that simple. He'll debate Hassan Piker, who says that America deserved 9/11. He'll debate Hassan Piker, who supports abortion and feminism and Islam. And what kind of numbers does Hassan get lately? Are they much higher than mine? I don't think so. And they're on Twitch. And who is the youth with? When you saw the Nelk stream with me versus Hassan, who is the audience with, me or him? The only reason, everyone knows, Charlie Kirk will not debate me because I would fucking devour him. I would eat him alive. And at the end of the day, that's going to happen one way or the other. Whether he chooses to confront me or not, whether he has dignity and honor or not, it's just a matter of time. My ideas are already there. I've already impregnated your organization. I took Turning Point USA and I fucked it. I took your organization, I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I fucked it.
Yo, bro is different. Bro is different. And this is how you know that the powers that be, whatever influence over there is either directly an Israeli influence or is behind it, whatever. It's an Israeli influence. Whatever it is, this is how you know how strong it is, because Charlie Kirk is willing to risk his entire, just throw away his entire reputation, his brand, everything, just to not debate Nick Fuentes so he can continue to push certain points, certain agendas that he knows make no sense, and that he also knows that his audience, Nick Fuentes said half of his audience agrees with Charlie Kirk. I'll be totally honest. If Charlie Kirk wasn't pushing the Israeli agenda and the Zionist agenda so much and gaining that new audience that he probably gained just from pushing that, it would be a lot more than 50%. It still may be a lot more than 50%. Nick Fuentes is different, bro. This is, and like I said, I'm just now getting used to it and really watching a lot of his content. Bro is different. Bro is different. And to be totally honest, I was sitting here thinking whether or not Charlie Kirk would debate him in a normal situation where Charlie Kirk wasn't like forced to take this stand. It seems like that he's taken. It's almost like, you ever been in a debate class, or you ever watched one of these debate movies where they give you something that you have to debate, where it's like, okay, this is the side of this argument that you're on. You have to debate it. Even though you may totally disagree with it, you have to debate it, but you're never going to have the passion and as good of an argument and perform as well as if it's something that you actually truly believe in. So if Charlie Kirk's almost deciding to go into this debate with his hands behind his back, because to be totally honest, I don't even think that he believes the things that he's saying. I believe that he believes everything that Nick Fuentes is saying. I think that Charlie Kirk knows is true. So that's why Charlie Kirk won't debate him. I think that he probably would debate him if Charlie Kirk could debate something that he actually agreed with, if he felt that he was on the right side of the argument. But in this situation, I don't think that there's any percentage of Charlie that believes that he's on the right side of this. And he also knows that the reason why he would debate maybe Candace or others is because Nick Fuentes is different. And he also has a totally different following. He's a different type of communicator. He will take your entire audience. He will take Charlie Kirk's audience, grow his own, and turn Charlie Kirk into a platform to step on in order to get to the next level. Charlie Kirk knows that. Nick Fuentes knows that. And just like what Nick Fuentes said, it's going to happen eventually or not. Because at least that's why if you stand 10 toes on exactly what you believe in, then you could take an L and bounce back from it. But not only would he take a complete L in debating Nick Fuentes, but he would also get exposed for being totally disingenuous and being not who he's always said that he is. Try going to a college campus after that. Let's keep going.
Turning Point USA, and I f***ed it. I took your organization, I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I f***ed it. And I've been f***ing it. And that's why it's filled with Groypers. That's why your whole crew, that's why the people around you, that's why your chapter presidents, that's why your attendees, they're all Groypers. So whether you choose to confront me or not over the honor of your Turning Point USA, it's immaterial to me. I'd like it. I just get a sick satisfaction out of it because I like to win. But we're already there. And this whole ideology, Zionism plus free market, it's dead either way. You know it. I know it. Pretty much the whole world knows it's over. In the last 7 years, who's moved closer to who? Could anybody accuse me of stealing Charlie Kirk's ideas? No. Has Charlie Kirk every step of the way moved in degree closer to me? Tried to ape my bit, my ideas, my style? Oh, no question. No question. We already own you. We own you. We own Turning Point USA. We own this movement. Whether you decide to have dignity about it and face me or not, that's up to you. That's something you'll have to tell your children. When Nick Fuentes became the future, when the Groypers took over the movement, did you take a valorant last stand? Were you courageous? Were you bold? Did you go down swinging or did you go down like a bitch? Did you run and hide? That's the only thing when you're explaining that to your family, Mr. Family Man. When you're explaining to your wife, when she's saying, why won't you just debate Nick Fuentes? And you got to explain to her. When your kids grow up, why didn't you just confront Nick Fuentes? You got to explain to them why you were afraid, why you were a coward. That's the only difference. Immaterial to me. We already won. But anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say. Jew hate has no place. Shut the fuck up.